Okay guys, got a cool video for you today. Gonna compare a 2023 F250 XLT with the standard output Powerstroke diesel versus a 2024 Lariat F250 with the 7.3 liter. This is not a Lariat Ultimate, but the goal today is to kind of look at, for the price, look at some of the options, look at some of the comparisons, and look at what you get for the money. What's more important? Would you rather have a diesel engine like what's in this XLT, or would you rather have more of a premium interior that would come on a Lariat? The thing I wanted to compare is the XLT versus the Lariat key fob. No difference. Same exact options. So let's do a cold start now. This is on a F250 with the standard output diesel. See how long this takes. Pretty quick, a lot quicker than the Cummins. So this is a standard output with the 355 electronic locking rear axle. You've got the XLT premium package, which comes with a lot of upgrades over the standard XLT, and it's also pretty expensive, $4,100. This truck is an 11,000 pound GVW F250. You've got the rapid heat supplement heater. This has the Pro Power on board 2,000 kilowatt generator, $1,500 sunroof, sliding rear window, the tow technology package with the high capacity trailer tow package, payload upgrade, and the dual battery, for a total of $79,860. So some of the things that are interesting to me is, I always wonder about the high payload F250s, why you would buy this. I think this has to do with certain states. You want a certain GVW, and it makes more sense to get an F250 with a heavy payload package versus just getting an F350. So with this one, being an F250, wouldn't traditionally get the spring pack with the overloads that you get with this one. So that's kind of nice. You also get, right then, you're also going to get the heavier rear axle, which I believe is the Dana 275, and you've got the 2.5-inch hitch. This has got the front end of the sport package, so you got the same similar grille that you would get like on my trimmer. This is a good looking color too. It's one of my favorites actually. Let's look at the payload. 3,339 pounds for an F250 is really high. 11,000 pound GVW. Check out the rear axle weight ratio though, 6,340 pounds, front axle 5,200. What do you get with a high level XLT trim package? Well, you still get the soft touch on the sides of the doors. That's nice. The B&O speakers, auto driver and passenger side windows, power folding and power extending mirrors. You still get a really nice center console, adjustable seats, nice looking cloth interior. Let's look at the gauge package. Push button start. You get the premium gauges that you would see. This would be the same layout that you would see inside of the Lariat, and you'll see that in a second. Take a look. Got the B&O speakers here, the hard touch dash, B&O in the center, dimming rear view mirror, very nice. The big old huge panoramic sunroof that everybody really likes. Probably going to see similar storage. Still get a dual glove box. A little bit, I'm sure we're going to see a little bit different color accenting there. This does not have dual climate control. Still have your drive modes. Different steering wheel. This is like a hard rubber. Little different bezel that goes around. Neither of the trucks have lane assist. This still does have a pretty decent like trim look to it. I don't actually mind that at all. No memory seats. We'll see how this truck does. These seats are really comfortable. I actually like these a lot. So unfortunately, you give up the dual climate control and the heated steering wheel in the XLT, but you still get a lot of value in this truck. I mean, this is a really nice truck. I like having the center console, and I will tell you, I do think the center console in the other truck feels a little bit more solid. I hear a tiny bit more squeak in this one. Another area that looks a lot nicer on the Lariat. So number one, you got the cover that closes this area for a little security and privacy. You also don't have the magnetic phone. Positive side to this though is, look how deep the storage is by not having all that stuff. So I don't know. I mean, there's a pro and con on that. I actually don't mind this, and I never really used the magnetic chargers that much anyhow, just because they're so slow, unfortunately. Here's an area where the 7.3 gas will do a lot better than a diesel. Is just how long these engines take to warm up. I mean, this isn't even that cold out. We're at 36 degrees, but it just takes forever for these motors to warm up. Another area where the Lariat's a lot nicer than the XLT, you don't have power telescoping steering wheel. It's all manual with the XLT, whereas the Lariat is power. Let's look and see this generator Okay, so right now in the standard mode, the generator's not on. Let's turn that on. Very cool. Now you see that bump up to 2,000 because the generator's on. So this gives us 2,000 watts of generator capacity right now. We'll turn that off. Okay, let's look at the second row. Second row looks nice. Got the B&O speakers, nice little cup holder here. Soft touch on the sides of the doors. Really nice storage here. This is where Ford does a great job. I love the flat flooring. This storage folds down. If you notice this thing here, this is your 2,000 watt generator. That's where it would be positioned at. And then you have your 6 foot 10-inch box. For 2023, they added these steps on the side there, as well as in the rear bumper. I really like that. Very usable. All right, let's do a cold start now on this 7.3 liter truck. Can't cold start it, unfortunately. It's in dealer mode still. All right, so this is a 2024 F250 Lariat with the 7.3 liter. I'm excited to drive this truck because I haven't driven a 7.3 liter in a while that is a non-trimmer package. So it'll be good to get acclimated with one of these again. 2024 in the rapid red with the black onyx leather interior with the 7.3 liter 10-speed trans. It's got the 373 electronic locking rear diff, off-road package, 10,500 pound GVW, tonneau cover. It's got the panoramic sunroof, camper package, heavy duty front suspension, fifth wheel prep, front and rear liners, for a grand total of $72,825. There's your Ford accessory mud flaps. Here's the hard liner feature that you can get on. That's nice, I like that. You can kind of see your fifth wheel prep right there. If you see those two bolts, you know you've got fifth wheel prep in a Super Duty. It's got the overload springs on the F250. The camper package is, if you see this little bracket right here, that bracket connects to a sway bar right there. That is a sway bar in the back. So if you put a camper in the bed of this truck, it will actually have less sway. A standard F250, even though this has the heavy duty capacity rear axle, it still doesn't have that same bracket because it would be mounted right there. So the downside to, I'll give you the pro and con. The pro is if you're putting heavy weight in the bed of the truck, this truck is going to have less body roll and is going to have better control and stability going down the road. The downside is it can sometimes come at a bit of a sacrifice of ride quality. Both the XLT and the Lariat, if we go up front, it's also got the plastic liners in the wheel well. You can see your standard traditional dampers. Does not have any of the ride height sensors on this truck. Have standard reflector LED headlights, so that's nice. They're not projector, but they are still LEDs and LED fog lamps. The other comparison is you notice the air dam is very similar between both. They go down pretty far, actually. You could switch out to something that doesn't go as low, but you do lose a little bit of fuel economy. Let's check the inside of this out. So there's what you see for a Lariat interior. Similar covering here, just a little bit nicer stitching, nicer material, really nice looking trim work right here. You still have auto driver and passenger windows, Powerstroke and extending mirror and folding in. Got the same B&O speakers. Look at this beautiful leather interior with the real nice red stitching. This is a really sharp looking truck. You can kind of see a little bit of the different bezel. Now let's look at the payload, 3,291 pounds. This is a lower GVW, 10,500, because this is a gas engine and the gas trucks typically have a lower GVW, 6,340 pound rear axle rating, 5,200 front. With a Lariat, you're gonna get the power driver and passenger seats. Now let's look inside of this. Hear the roar of that awesome V8. Notice a button missing right there. It's because it doesn't have the exhaust brake that the diesel would have. Similar gauges, not a lot of differences there. Can see that this has got a really tight center console. That's good. No noise at all. I'm pushing on that pretty hard. You've got this really nice little slider that can act as extra capacity for cup holders, or you can just keep it there. I like that. Got a nice cover for the storage for your wireless charging and USB A and C. Your drive mode, 2 high, 4 low, rear diff selector. For today, we're gonna be running the truck in eco mode. So when we go to the dash area, this is an area of difference between the XLT and the Lariat. So you still have the tweeters for the B&O system and the speaker in the middle, but this is soft touch, not a hard finish that the XLT has. You got dual glove boxes, but you got a little bit nicer finish of the glove box. Nothing else different there. And then in this area here is a different color trim. It's like a satin brushed aluminum. Looks really sharp, actually. You got dual climate control in this truck, heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel. I'm gonna turn that on. Storage-wise should be very similar. Yep, very similar. Look to the second row. You've got cup holders in this one, which is kind of nice. The big, huge panoramic roof. Let's open up, let a little bit of sunlight come with the shade. Now, if this is like past trucks, it's gonna stop right there. So you have to hit this button one more time and it'll go fully back. This truck is not an ultimate package truck. So if you went to an ultimate package truck, you'd have heads-up display there. I'll show you another area where you'd see the difference in an ultimate. So you'd have heads-up display. You'd have the ability of power steps. I think that's included in that. A nice storage back here, but if you notice, there's something missing in this area. This would be where the 2,000 watt generator would go, but this truck doesn't have it. The advantage is you got a lot more storage, which is nice. Nice cup holders right there. Got the standard 18s. Something gonna be missing here. This would be where your DEF tank would be. Kind of tell the differences in the mirrors a little bit. This has a really nice black paint cover. This is just a standard plastic. Both similar LEDs in the side. Both 360 cameras on the bottom. So the exhaust on the 7.3 sounds really awesome. This is one of the benefits to a traditional V8. They sound great. Here's a cool little Easter egg. It says Super Duty right there. Okay, we got the engine up to about 160 degrees coolant, trans temp warming up. Gonna reset, gonna go into the fuel economy now and see how the 7.3 does. I'm really excited to drive this actually and see how it drives and rides. So I wanna thank Bob Maxey Ford here in Howell, Michigan for letting me do another review for you guys. It's kind of cool getting to compare a 2023 F250 to a 2024 F250 in two different powertrains. So you guys can kind of see what changes have happened in the past year and see if this is something you want a 23 or do you want a 24 truck. So like I've done on other loops, this is a standardized loop that I've had for quite a while. I've got everything set up on eco mode. I'm also running 72 degrees auto for the HVAC controls. And I've only got the heated seat on for a second, and then I'll turn that off. I try to compare every truck, every engine, as close as I can, apples to apples, so you guys can get a fair representation. This truck has really good low end torque. I'm just doing moderate to light acceleration here, and you know, you can feel that pushrod V8 power, which is really nice. Another thing I noticed, and I've talked about this in several other videos before, is the seat comfort. It amazes me, the comfort that Ford has in these new seat cushions. Every time I get in the Super Duty, it just kind of reminds me of my old trimmer and kind of makes me miss one, and I kind of wish I had one again. I've always thought about a 7.3 truck. It's always been in the back of my head. Typically tow not light, not aerodynamic trailers all the way up to things that are, you know, 13, 14,000 pounds. So there's no question a 7.3 liter truck can do it. It's just the diesels can do it so effortlessly is why I've always geared towards the diesel trucks. I'm barely into the throttle right now, so I'm really curious to see how the ride quality is gonna be on this truck versus the diesel without the camper package. Most of my experience has shown me that the diesels ride a little bit better, a little bit softer than the gas trucks. But I can tell you when I drove my 23 F350 trimmer with the 7.3 versus my 6.7, I didn't notice any ride quality difference. I think Ford tuned the suspension in the 7.3 gas trimmer really good. I was actually pretty impressed by it. And I was pretty happy with my F350 trimmer ride quality in general. But we'll see how this does today between the two trucks. I know in the past, when I've done reviews on Super Duties, I've noticed that the camper package does impact the ride quality. And I'm probably a little bit sensitive to it because driving in Michigan, our roads are so horrible. We have so many expansion joints on the road, and you have so many other like potholes, you feel everything. So when you have a vehicle that rides good, it's noticeable. So I'm climbing a slight grade right now, and I'm in 10th gear, and I'm holding 70 miles an hour. I wanted to show this because not a lot of V8s can hold this in a heavy duty truck without downshifting. All right, coming to the halfway point now. It's easy to get spoiled in these new Super Duties, I have to say. It's, you know, honestly, if you're a truck buyer right now, the options are just incredible. The new GM trucks are awesome. Once Ford redid their 23 Super Duty, they really upped the game. The ride quality's improved drastically. The interior quality went up drastically. They just, and in areas where they didn't quote unquote redesign it, they just kind of tweaked it and made it better. Like I feel like the 10-speed trans shifts a lot better in the 23 trucks versus the 20 to 22 10-speed trucks. The 7.3, they made some slight tweaks to improve the torque, I believe. I think they shifted the torque curve a little bit. Plus, they fixed some other issues that were plagued on some of the earlier 7.3 trucks. The 6.7, standard output, I don't think changed that much, but the 6.7 high output's a new engine, and that engine rips. You know, I know a lot of people are wondering how is the power, fuel economy, DEF consumption. Man, I loved mine. I have no complaints. And after comparing it to a 19 Ram Cummins, honestly, it's better in almost every single way. The only area where I feel like the Cummins is still superior would be the engine brake. I think is a little stronger still in the Cummins. And you know, you could debate and say which engine is more reliable. That's a tough one. You know, I mean, you could go either way, because I feel like the Powerstroke has continued to get better and better, and yet a lot of people believe the 5th gen Cummins is the least reliable Cummins that Ram has had in a pickup truck. So I like the engine. Honestly, I think the Cummins sounds awesome and produce really good low-end instantaneous torque, so no complaints there. But if you're looking for all-out performance, the Powerstroke, it's hard to beat. It makes a crap ton of power. So I kind of want to show this spot right here. No hypermiling. It's a flat, about 15 miles per gallon at 74 miles an hour. Now I'm going downhill now. But that's about what you could expect at those speeds. About 15, I would say, with 373s, non-trimmer. That's not terrible. Here's another flat, 72 miles per hour. Hovering at about 13, 14 in a flat right here. So you can kind of see what I'm up against here. Now, the 7.3 did downshift a little bit on that incline. I'm in 9th gear right now. Kind of surprised it had to downshift for that. All right, coming off on the last exit here. Things I really like about the Lariat is this soft leather steering wheel. It feels really great in the hands. It's nice. I also noticed there's a steering difference. The feel of the steering input feels different on the gas truck than the F250 diesel. It's this feels more like a traditional steering, because this is a little bit harder steering feel than the diesel. Brake pedal feel feels similar. Okay, pulling back into Maxi here, we'll see where we ended up with the fuel economy numbers on the 7.3. Let's see where this ended up at. So we got 12.6 miles per gallon for 18.1 miles. We're gonna do something different today I've never done before. I just did that loop in eco mode. We're gonna now do the exact same thing, and we're gonna do it in normal mode. Okay, so we're going to now reset trip 2, just shy of 15 miles per gallon at 72 miles per hour. Okay, on a flat, no hypermiling. Right at about 14, maybe 15 miles per gallon. So going up a slight grade here. Really curious to see if this has to pull down, and yep, it has to go 9th gear in the normal mode too. Kind of surprised. I was really hoping that the difference between eco and normal is it would be able to hold 10th gear and not have to drop. All right, pulling back in. Let's see how we did for the second loop in normal mode for fuel economy. So you can see our engine coolant temps, trans temps, kind of warm actually for the transmission. No towing, 217, 218. So total trip at 12.8. For that loop, I got 13.4. So that's pretty interesting. What this told me is that the engine was warmed up a little bit more, better fuel economy by almost a mile per gallon on that second loop. So I've been letting the truck warm up for a minute. We're going to reset the fuel economy now. Let's see how this truck does. We're in eco mode. Let's go. You definitely notice right away is the difference in steering feel. There's definitely a difference in steering when the diesel versus the 7.3. Ride quality, I don't really notice any difference so far. The steering wheel in the Lariat feels so much better than this like hard plastic surface. I'm sure this is like a really durable steering wheel. I just like the feel of the Lariat steering wheel. Similar size rims. The 7.3 truck actually had a tonneau, so I would actually believe that the 7.3 liter truck could get better fuel economy because a little bit maybe more aerodynamic for having that. Okay, turning into the halfway point right now. So far, the 6.7 standard output Powerstroke feels pretty decent. Nice shifting. I don't know what to think about these results right now. I'm a little confused. This truck's got 80 miles on it. It's a 2023. I'm gonna look at the gear ratios, but the fuel economy is off drastically. It shouldn't be in any sort of regen. I was already planning on doing a eco mode versus normal mode, and I already did that with the 7.3 liter. I'm gonna do that with the 6.7 Powerstroke now and just see if it needed an extra loop to really warm up the powertrain. But the fuel economy is drastically lower than what I was expecting. And I just did a F350 dually, this exact same loop 2 hours ago, and got 3 miles per gallon better than what I'm getting with this. And that truck had dual rear wheels and 410 gear ratio. Pulling back into Bob Maxey, let's see where we finished for the loop with the 6.7 liter in eco mode. Let's see where we finished at. 11.7 miles per gallon in eco mode with the 6.7 liter Powerstroke. These results are odd. I don't even know what to say. Reset this one, and I'm gonna go do the exact same loop again. Here's the engine coolant 187 trans temp. There's the exhaust filter. I don't see any regen or any reason to believe this thing's in a regen because the truck's got 80 miles on it, but these results are bizarre. I've never seen such a low fuel economy on a new Super Duty, but we're gonna do this again and put the truck in normal mode, because that's what we did with the 7.3, and we'll see the difference in driving mannerisms, and we'll see how the fuel economy compares. Okay, doing the second loop. Okay, here's the difference with the diesel. I'm at the same speeds, and I'm getting about 22 miles per gallon. Pulling back into Bob Maxey now for the second loop, and let's see where we finish. There we go, 20.1 miles per gallon for the second loop. Had some really interesting results today. Number one, we doubled the mile per gallon loop to try to find out a few different things. Number one, we went and did eco mode in both of these trucks versus normal mode to see the difference in fuel economy. I wanted to do 2 loops after warming the engine up and just seeing the difference in fuel economy. And wow, did we see a big difference. We saw a big difference in the 7.3 liter, and we saw a huge difference in the F250 with the standard output diesel. The fact that this thing went from like, what, 11, 12 miles per gallon to over 20 miles per gallon, this tells me this truck was in some sort of early regen mode, or maybe when these trucks are first brand new and less than 100 miles, or they've been sitting a bit, it puts an extra load in the emissions for worse fuel economy. A massive difference. And unfortunately, the whole idea of looking at eco mode versus sport mode didn't really get to play out like I was hoping. But it doesn't matter because it uncovered something else. And the other thing I've noticed too, especially in the 7.3 liter, the eco mode versus normal mode, to me, I don't think it makes much of a difference, but the difference in pedal feel and acceleration is a huge difference. So even if you picked up 0.5 mile per gallon, I'd probably go with the regular mode because it really kills the performance of the 7.3 and kind of makes it feel like a dog. So some comparisons. This is a 2024 F250 Lariat with the 7.3 liter and the 373 gears for a total of $72,825. These are the lowest gear ratio, not the tall ratio. You could pick up some more towing capacity if you went with the 430 gears. And honestly, I bet it has a big impact on this truck because in all fairness to the 7.3 liter, I look forward to driving one of these again with the 430 gears because this truck had the lowest performance. I couldn't get it to hold 10th gear on the loop I do. And it's the first truck I've driven that wouldn't hold gear. And I've driven other 7.3s with 430s and it did hold gear. And that includes 0.5 tons, 3/4 tons gas diesel. Now let's compare that. But some takeaways here. This has got the 355 gears, not the 331. So you'd get even better fuel economy with the 331s versus the 355s. If we wanted to compare apples to apples, there's only $7,000 difference between these two trucks. The Lariat interior is a really nice upgrade. There's a lot to like about the Lariat. But there's also a lot to like about having the 6.7 Powerstroke. You know, given the fact that if we took the best case scenario, we'll call this truck, what, 13.5 or 13.8 miles per gallon, and this truck at 20 miles per gallon. Compare the fuel economy and then look at the fuel cost for diesel and gas. You could kind of come up for a cost per mile, and I'll run that calculation to kind of see. If you're towing long distances or super heavy, I think the diesel is kind of the go-to answer. I've been happy with it. And if you're not towing as heavy, or as long a distances or maybe slower speeds, the 7.3 is a good choice. You know, there's trade-offs on all these options. Still, for me, after driving all of these trucks, I'm gonna go the Powerstroke. It's just such a massive difference in acceleration. And for the type of driving I do, which is highway, high speed, heavy towing, it does it so effortlessly. I would say that would be a better choice for that individual. For someone that's not towing heavy or more city driving or likes more simple maintenance, the 7.3 is an awesome option. This is a great engine. Lastly, just gonna kind of compare under the hood. Obviously this truck being the diesel, it's got the intake up front, the battery, fuse panel, tons of junction boxes. Got your turbo intake with your cast intake manifolds. Lots of stuff going on here, no doubt about it. Got 2 different degas bottles. And then this is interesting. This has actual vacuum boost, not hydro boost that we saw on the dually F350. So that's interesting. Compare this to the 7.3. Intakes in the similar location. Single battery in a similar location, fuse panels, junction boxes, but this is where things get a lot simpler. There is a ton more room to work on things. You only got your 1 degas bottle. Look at all the space over here. You don't have the second battery. You do still have a standard vacuum booster for your brakes. Look how much room is between the engine and the frame rail and your steering for the manifolds. Lots of room in here. So if you're gonna service this thing, this is a huge reason to go with the 7.3 liter over the 6.7. Is someone argue and say long-term durability or ease of maintenance for your average guy that can wrench and work on his vehicles? This is a pretty good solution to go for. Okay, just got done doing a review and comparing the 7.3 to the 6.7 Powerstroke. Did a few different loops on that. You guys have been hearing me complain about the fuel economy on my Cummins and how disappointed I am. Well, I'm gonna go do the same loop right now and let's see how it does. So I hope you found this video insightful. I enjoy doing these comparisons, kind of looking at the different features and what gives the best value. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day.